Hello there. In today's video we're going to be covering the qualification for the Champions League, for the Europa League, and as well for the Conference League. And I know that some of you aren't as interested in whether, aside from, Ireland, Croatia, Serbia, Latvia, how they're doing, but this is the sort of stuff that I'm really into because I'm such a specialist football supporter. Plus I have had quite a few comments from you as well asking for this content, so for those of you who are like-minded, this video is for you. I have seen your comments. Okay, so let's get started. We'll look at the Champions League qualification to begin with. We'll talk about who's out, who's still in with a chance, any stories emerging, etc. And yeah, we'll get started. This is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? Okay, Champions League qualifiers so far then. So we've got, we'll do it by, should we do it round? I think that's probably the best way of doing it. Okay, so round one was quite a busy one. So we had Ararat beating Riga, Drita and Zalgiris drawing, Lincoln Red Imps beating Escaldes, Sabah beating TNS 2-0, at home Simic in Paris with the goals against the Welsh champions, Skopje losing home to Coups of Finland, Floriana beating Shamrock Rovers 2-0 with a red card for the Irish as well, Muric and Ja. Banja Luka drawing with Levski 1-1, Trefiori losing at home to Larn 1-0, Lusty with the goal there. Then Klasvik beating Bissen and Reykjavik beating Győri. And then Kairat beating Suceska, Flora Tallinn losing home to Iberia of Georgia. Petrogub drawing with Egnatia and Vitebsk losing home to Universitatea Craiova of Romania. In the next fixtures then, the away ties, Coups lost at home to Vardar, but their away performance was good enough to get them through. Iberia drew with Flora Tallinn again, they got through. Lincoln Red Imps, and this is a team, of course, that made it into the Conference League. They're from Gibraltar, so it's excellent for Gibraltar football, and they drew away from home, resulting in a pass to the next round. Vikingur of Iceland also got a draw away from home, and so they're through. Ararat Armenia lost at home, lost away, but it was enough to get past Latvian Riga. Levski had a very big win, 4-0 victory over Banja Luka. TNS spirited performance, but lost at home to Sabah. Lock with their only goal. Drita lost at home to Zalgiris of Lithuania. Larn managed to win against Trefiori 2-1, so Bradley and Bent with a penalty, and then Shamrock turned it around. The return of good old, was it Pico Lopez from World Cup duty, and so he helped them overcome Floriana. So Grace McGovern with 2 goals, Burke and Byrne with the goals, cancelling out Goodell's only goal for the away side. Massive victory at home. Universitatea 1-0, so they are through. Klasvik 1, so they are through. Egnatia 1-6-1. I don't even know where Egnatia are from. Albania. Against Moldovan champions Petrogub and Suceska losing home to Kairat Almaty of Kazakhstan. So in the next round then, Ararat beat Shamrock, Slovan Bratislava beat Georgia, a Georgian team Iberia, Mjällby of Sweden with a 3-0 victory over the Gibraltars, Sabah beating Coups, AGF, who are new to the competition of course, shockingly winning the Danish championship. They lost very heavily with a red card at home to Lech Poznań of Poland. Fenerbahce beating Polish team Górnik Zabrze as well. FC Thun, another champion of Switzerland, really unexpected. They only just got promoted to the league and then run away with it against stalwarts Dinamo Zagreb 1-1. Sturm Graz beating Hearts. Their stats in this game weren't that bad, but their finishing was just appalling. So they had more possession, the same amount of expected goals, one shot fewer, same amount of shots on target. If this was a Football Manager match, you'd look at it and go, it's a draw, right? Maybe a win for Hearts. How they lost 4-0, it's crazy. But their season has really started like that under the new manager, unfortunately. Klasvik draw with Zalgiris, Larn losing at home heavily, but to former Champions League champions, Crvena Zvezda of Serbia. No shame in that. Reykjavik beating Beersheva 2-1. Omonia Nicosia beating Kairat 1-0. Levski beating Craiova 1-0. And Ignatia drawing with Celje of Slovenia 3-0. And then a return fixtures, then Sabah through to the next round for the Azerbaijani team. The Gibraltars are out after a draw at home to Mjelbu. Thun are out to Dinamo Zagreb, 3-2 win for the Croats. Celje drew, so they've put Ignatia out. Hearts lost again at home, 2-0 this time against Sturm Graz. And Shamrock also, they were winning. They got it to 2-2, and then Lima broke the Irish Hearts on the 74th minute, putting them out of the Champions League. But obviously, not obviously, but I don't think at the moment their ultimate goal is Champions League football. It's either Europe. Well, ideally, I think that they can get into the Europa League, but definitely Conference League, group stage without a shadow of a doubt. Kairat turned it around to beat Omonia Nicosia, who had 2 red cards. Zalgiris have set a record. I don't think a Lithuanian team has made it this far yet, so well done to them. And look at that turnaround indeed. Winning on penalties, AGF of Denmark put out Lech Poznań of Poland, which is a bit of a shock after that horrible result at home in the first leg. And then Vikingur lost 2-0. A draw between the Romanians and Bulgarians mean that Levski go through to the next round, and Crvena Zvezda beating Larn with a really high and handsome scoreline of 5-0. The other Polish team are out 1-1 against Fenerbahce. Big spending Fenerbahce, of course. Let's see who they had on their team. Talisca, Asensio, Atakolu, Fred, Gondouzi, Semedo, Skriniar. It's like an all-star team from about 5 years ago, isn't it? So, they've obviously got an excellent team, so unlucky for Górnik Zabrze to pull them, and Slovan Bratislava putting out the Georgians. I think they've done pretty well for a Georgian team as well, actually. So round 3 starting tomorrow night at the time of recording. Arat Armenia against Celje, Mjelbu against Slovan Bratislava, Crvena Zvezda go to the Israeli team, Levski Sofia Kairat Almaty, Dinamo against Kauno Zalgiris, Olympiacos against one team I would love to see qualify. I do like Olympiacos, and it would be great for them to get through. Though they've got another round 3, I think, round 4, the final round. Because there's not a win here, doesn't get you into the the group stage just yet. But Nijmegen of the Netherlands are this team that play this really exciting football, so that would be lovely to see them through. Sparta Prague against Lyon. I've tipped Lyon to do well this season, so that's probably them losing the match with my magic touch. Union Saint-Gilloise against Bodø Glimt, who obviously got really far last time. I would be devastated if I was Union Saint-Gilloise. And Sabah have done well to get through, but AGF stand in their way now. Fenerbahce against Sturm Graz. And then the return fixtures. And in the final round, Celtic are waiting. They've pulled Lask of Austria. Yes, of Austria. So it's not an easy tie, but it's not one of the harder ones they could have had either. Athens are waiting the winners of Levski Sofia and Kairat Almaty, and Viking, who actually beat Bodø Glimt to the Norwegian title, are waiting for either Dinamo Zagreb or Zalgiris, or is it Zalgiris? I'm not sure how it's pronounced. So we could see another team. Bodø Glimt Gosh, that's going to be a difficult one. Look at that. Olympiakos or Nijmegen against Union Saint-Gilloise or Bordeaux Glimt. So some big teams are not going to make it into the Champions League this year. Whereas from the winners, Mjällby, Slovan Bratislava, Ararat Aluminium Celje. So one of those teams, I think, based on history, Slovan Bratislava are the ones that have made it into the Champions League group stages most recently. So they're probably the most likely to get through, but any of those other three teams getting into the Champions League would be an historic moment. I don't think we've ever had an Armenian team in the group stage, for starters. I cannot remember the last time we had a Swedish team, and I don't think we've ever had a Slovenian team, so Slovan Bratislava are standing in the way, they themselves making it for the first time for a Slovakian team last season. Am I making this up? Not sure. Yeah, so that's a big draw. And then AGF against Sabah take on the winners of Beersheva and Crvena Zvezda. I think Red Star Belgrade are obviously the greatest pedigree, but it could be an amazing moment for one of the other teams as well. And then these teams, I think Fenerbahce probably best suited to get into the group stages, but we'll see. Okay. We'll go to the Europa League. We haven't had too many matches, have we? Not too many. So basically I'll just do the second leg so we can look at the results. So Derry City was put out by CSK Sofia. Cluj was put out on penalties by Dynamo Kiev. Alimini, where are they from? Oh, it doesn't even know. This is FotMob, by the way. Slovenia. Oh, okay. They were put out by Sheriff of Moldova. Ferencváros put out Vojvodina of Serbia. Žilina lost to Hajduk Split, and Vestri lost heavily to Karabakh. Where are Vestri from? Iceland. Okay. And then we had... Okay, so Tel Aviv Maccabi have put out Sheriff. That match has been postponed for some reason. Besiktas put out Midtjylland of Denmark. Hradec Králové beat Tromsø. Paphos beat Hajduk Split handsomely, 4-0. Thessaloniki beat Dynamo Kiev. CSK Sofia, the Bulgarian teams are doing well this year, aren't they? Put out Karabakh. Anderlecht put out Hammarby. Ferencváros put out FC Twente. And Benfica hammered Sankt Gallen. So Lan are against Georgian team Iberia, who have done quite well. Shamrock Rovers take on Egnatia. So I think there's still a chance that we could have some Irish teams getting into the next round, but I think the next round is going to be really tricky. So let's skip to that. So Benfica or Hearts. Ouch. Hearts have not had a good start to the season. They've been very unlucky, haven't they? Against either AGF or Sabah. I see. So whichever is the loser of that tie in the Champions League drops down and takes on one of those. I understand. So Beersheva Crvena Zvezda will take on Victoria Pilsenia, who always do well in this competition. Either Besiktas, which I think is probably the favourite, against Hradec Králové of Czechia. Will take on the loser of the tie of Dinamo Zagreb and Kaunas Žalgiris. I believe whichever team loses this round gets into the group stage of the Conference League, so it's not all doom and gloom. Rangers will have to go to Poland to take on Jagiellonia Białystok, and the winner will take on Lan or Iberia. Okay, so that means Lan is probably going to, if they can win that one match against Iberia, then that means I think that they could get into at least the Conference League. Kups or Craiova to take on the loser of Celje and Armenia in the Champions League. Lech Klaksvik against Thun or Reykjavik. So Klaksvik must be Faroe Islands then, because you can't go against your own. I get confused between Faroe Island teams and Iceland teams because they sound similar. Levski, Kairat Almaty against PAOK Anderlecht. Ouch. Some big teams there. Slovan Bratislava Mielvis, the loser, takes on Salzburg. Ouch. Or Paphos. Both good teams. Crete will be against either Maccabi or CSK Sofia. Lillestrøm will take on either Ignatia or Shamrock Rovers. Okay, so Shamrock Rovers know that if they beat Ignatia, then they win against Lillestrøm, difficult match, and they will get into the Europa League. If they lose, then they get into the Conference League. But if they lose to Ignatia, they gotta go another tie to see if they can get into the Conference League, I believe. Sint-Truiden take on Lincoln or Ammonia Nicosia. Trabzonspor, tough tie for them. Ferencváros or Gornik Zabrze. That's hard. Okay, interesting. And Conference League. So we've had quite a few legs of the Conference League. This one goes on for absolute ever. So let's do the second leg so we can see who got through. Righty-ho, so Una Strassen, I don't even know who they are. Luxembourg. They beat La Fiorita, Montegiardino, must be a San Marino team? San Marino, yeah. And San Marino doesn't have its own leagues, that's from a cup. Malisheva beating Vilaznia, I don't even know half these teams. Liepaja beating, I can't read it, Tujic Tuzi. Astana lost at home to Dinamo City. Is that of Belarus? No, Albania. Oh, okay. Interturku beating Sarajevo. Yelimay losing to Alashkert. Ilves beating Differdange. Lina Meeskont beating Hegelman. Oh, and the Bows. Yeah, I was watching. The Bows beat St. Joseph's, Zira beating Torpedo Kutaisi, Levadia beating Carnarvon 5-0, very embarrassing. I think it was 9-0 overall. RFS beating Glentoran, Bate Barisov beating Elbasani, Dinamo Tbilisi beating Mondorf-les-Bains, and then Milsami losing at home to Velez Mostar, Santa Coloma winning against Penabont Bridgend 3-0, Vikingur losing at home overall against Stjarnan. Who are Stjarnan? Oh, Iceland, okay. And who else? Zalgiris Vilnius beating Petrovac. Spartans lost at home to Runavik. Balkani beat Connors Key, so all Welsh sides went out to this point because TNS went out in the next stage. Silex losing at home to Dinamo Minsk, Skendia beating Europa, Linfield losing home to Kalju, and then Mornar losing at home to Athletic Escaldes, and Virtus losing at home to Dila Gori. I think of Georgia, right? Yeah. And then in the next round, skip the home ties. So many matches, oh my god. Okay, Apollon Limassol are through, Riga are through, CSK 1948 are through, and Drita are through, who qualified for the group stage last year. Lugano are through, FC Copenhagen are through against the team that finished second in Ukraine, Policia Zhytomyr. Rapid Wien beating Santa Coloma. Vaduz are through, the Liechtenstein team that play in Switzerland, but I think they qualify through a local cup. Topol Castanet are through. Auda put FC SB of Bucharest out. Wow. Interturku put Başakşehir out. That's quite shocking. Noah Zim have put Zimbru out. That match, I don't know what I don't think Kralove are in this cup. They're in the Europa League. Ilves of Finland have put out Stjernan, and they have to have the funniest. Look at this badge. I love their badge. It's like a little troll man. Anyway, Jablonec are through, Shelbourne are through, but they lost away, so well done to them. Debrecen are through against Punic. Paide Lina Meeskond, are they Luxembourgish? No, Estonia. Oh, okay. Göteborg of Sweden are through. Brann are through as well, so Cluj are out of Europe this year. Banja Luka are through. Dynamo Minsk as well. Nordsjælland of Denmark are through. And Dunajska Streda of Slovakia. Győri are through, Hungarian team. Motherwell are through as well. Žalgiris Vilnius. Beitar, Rijeka have put Derry out, unfortunately. TNS lost on penalties to Flora Tallinn after winning 1-0 with the 91st minute. I was watching this live. Wilson scoring the 91st minute equaliser over the aggregate. Raków Częstochowa winning 4-0. Ajax putting out Vojvodina. And then Bohemians winning on penalties. Very stressful. They were quite far ahead. And then just let Balkani come back into it. So it was really a little bit silly from them. I do hope we see Bows in the group stage though. That would be amazing. Shkendia are through. Hapoel Tel Aviv through against Ludogorets, which is quite a good team. RFS are through. They made it into the group stage last year. Sion are through. Of Switzerland. Partizan Beograd are through. Austria Wien are through. Cluj are through to the next round. Ghent of Belgium are through on penalties. And Cherkasy came third in Ukraine last year. Katowice are through. Panathinaikos are through. Valur have put out Zrinski Mostar. HJK are through. Runavik are through. Braga easily through, the Portuguese. Then Dinamo City are through to the next round, putting up the Slovenians. Hibs are through against Malisheva, and Vitebsk are through. Where are Vitebsk from? Belarus. The Belarusian teams are doing quite well as well. Okay, so round 3, quite a lot of matches. And then there's another round to that as well. Crikey. So let's take a look at some of these final matches. So Atalanta to qualify for the Conference League. I've got to beat either Hapoel or Katowice. Both is quite doable. Okay, this is where it gets a bit complicated because these are the ones dropping down from the Europa League. Auda, Dinamo City, Salzburg, Paphos. So Salzburg would be my favourite probably to get through to the Europa League, so maybe Paphos to get into this one. Either Benfica or Hearts against Paide or Rapid Wien. I think Benfica will get into the Europa League, so I think maybe either Rapid Wien or Hearts to get through. Bows, Midtjylland, Rijeka, Ilves. Oh, it's going to be quite a tough one. They've got a very difficult draw. I think probably Rijeka or Midtjylland will get through. Braga, Dynamo Minsk, Beitar, Austria Wien. I'm going to say Braga. If, of course, that isn't the one from the Europa League, in which case they won't be included. Brighton, this is important, will either take on Tromsø or Cluj. Both teams they can beat, but neither team is easy. Into Turku Vaduz, Debrecen, Kubenhavn. Going to think that Kubenhavn will get through. Noah, Sion, Ajax, Shelbourne. Ooh, nasty for Shelbourne. Big tie though against Ajax. Ajax must be the favourite. Twente, Streda, Dynamo Kiev and Karabakh. For me, as good as Twente are, Dynamo Kiev is probably the best side there. Monaco will have to take on either Ferencváros or Górnik Zabrze. Now I think this is the loser of that match will take on Monaco, not the winner. I think they are in the Europa League, if I remember what we looked at a minute ago. So I think Monaco is still the favourites. Getafe will have to take on either Partizan Beograd or Tobol Castanet. Beograd will be quite difficult, but Getafe are a very good team. Oh no. Freiburg, wonderful team, really good. Either take on HJK of Finland or Motherwell. And Motherwell have started really well in the Premiership this year. You have to think that Freiburg are the favourites for that. Then Göteborg against Ghent and Hibs against Shkendia. I think Ghent is the favourite for that. Rangers, Jagiellonia Białystok. Remember the loser of that takes on either Jablonec or RFS, so I think the loser of that team probably wins the tie and gets into the Conference League. Lech or Klaksvik against Riga or Győri. if Lech don't qualify for the Europa, then I'd say that it's a very good chance for one of the other three teams to get through to the group stage if Lech do win that Europa League and don't make it to this stage. Lincoln, Ammonia, Lan, Iberia. I think Ammonia Nicosia has to be for me. Again, caveat, not sure, I can't remember off the top of my head if they are in the Europa League. Qualifier first, Lugano, Runovic, Maccabi and Sofia. You know, Lugano or probably CSK Sofia. Panathinaikos CSK 1948. Besiktas, oh my goodness, Hradec Králové. So I think it's the losers of that tie. So I think Panathinaikos should qualify. I hope Besiktas, I think they'll probably win in the Europa League one. And then PAOK, Anderlecht, Brann, Apollon, Limassol. So I think probably which of those lose will win this next tie, but Brann will be hard, and Limassol to an extent. Good chance for Shamrock though. If they lose against Ignatia, then they have to take on either Kups or Universitatea Craiova. I think they could qualify therefore. Thun against Vikingur, Borac, Banja Luka or Vitebsk. I think we could see Thun, the champions of Switzerland, making it through. Tre Fiori Dritta against Interclub or Flora Tallinn. Any of those teams could make it through, to be honest with you. Valur Nordsjælland, Sheriff St. Gallen. I think maybe Nordsjælland should do it. Zalgiris Hajduk Split, Raków Częstochowa Hammarby. I think Częstochowa would get through. Hajduk Split, next best choice. Yeah, and that's that. Okay, let me know if you disagree with me, agree with me, think I'm a lunatic, as usual. And I will catch up in a couple of weeks and confirm who made it through to the last stage. And then we'll start predicting the group stage for each of those three cups. But that's the first game, the first video of this series this year. So I hope you liked it, particularly if you're like me and you like interesting smaller teams from different countries and seeing who qualifies, which nations qualify for each stage of Europe for the first time is always quite exciting. Okay, thanks so much for watching everyone, take care, and I'll see you again really soon, okay? Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.